Okay, well, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope your holidays were good. I, for one, am more than ready to be done with 2019, and there's a few changes I want to make, again, as usual. This last year has been pretty rough for motivation on YouTube and really just anything in general. As many of you, I'm sure, can relate, work sucks, and really, it's not fulfilling anymore. I mean, not that it really was. It's kind of a shitty job, but I'm done with it. And I'm at a point where I think I just need to go move on and try and do something else with my life. However, at this point, I don't really have any optimism for finding anything necessarily better. I just need something different. And because of that, I feel that I'm probably going to have to be more reliant on myself. I've mentioned in several previous videos that there have been ideas and things that I've wanted to do, and I think it's probably time to actually just throw myself fully into them. As far as YouTube goes, I foresee that continuing. It's really like I've said before that I'm going to be playing video games the rest of my life anyway, and I may as well be recording it while I'm doing it. At this point, YouTubing has been a pretty large chunk of my life, and while it's become kind of a hassle, it's also something that I just don't really want to give up. Lately I think that my motivation for doing it has been more tied towards the games that I'm playing and the time that it takes. I mean, work just exhausts me, and I come home and I really just don't want to do anything. And that's fine for a while, but it's not a plan. So let's talk about what's currently going on. I did just wrap up my 12 days of Let's Quickly Plays for Christmas, and that was actually kind of fun. I helped clean out my backlog just a little bit, and it was kind of a return a little bit to some of the earlier days of this channel where I was looking at obscure games or small games or just quick little things that might otherwise go under everyone's radar. And I think timed with the Christmas sale, it probably was something for you guys to see. And I know there were comments that, there were things that stood out and were interesting. And so hopefully, if you saw something that caught your eye and you tried it, hopefully, hope you liked it. But as far as series have gone, obviously it's been like 2 months since I last played Predynastic Egypt. That game, or rather avoiding that game, I think has been part of why there has been less content on this channel. I mean, before the 12 days, there was the 13 days where I just played Vermintide for Halloween. And really the only reason that popped up was because, one, it's Warhammer, and it was kind of an interesting game, I guess. But it was also quick and, well, not necessarily quick, but easy, let's say. Easy to play and record. But as far as Predynastic Egypt goes, I don't want to abandon that series, but I think I'm going to. Bottom line, it was just becoming more of a hassle to record and do that series than I had anticipated, and it's not worth the time, I don't think. I don't think it's worth my time, and I don't think it's worth your time. If you're watching that series as a walkthrough, or if anyone is looking for a walkthrough, there are much more concise videos out there. I mean, I myself was looking at some of them for some tips. But as I've mentioned in the videos, the game itself really rewards efficiency playing, which I'm not really much about. I very much enjoy sort of the casual take my time and think about things atmosphere, as I'm sure you all know. And so when I'm 4 episodes in and it's already like 3 hours of content and someone has completed the game in like 3 hours of video, I just don't think that it's entertaining anymore. And especially since I'm spending time looking things up and trying to plot out what I'm going to do ahead of time, not just playing the game off the cuff like I would normally do a Let's Play. I mean, it's just, it's too much of a hassle. So I think this is going to be the first series that I deliberately abandon. Well, maybe the second one. I think the first one was probably a Nintendo game. I don't even remember the name of it. It was the XCOM style one. That one I kind of abandoned for the almost the same reason that I struggled with pre-dynastic Egypt, was that progress was stymied. Uh, in that game, you can't lose a character, unlike in XCOM. You can't lose a character in that game where you have to restart the level. And so when I had to restart the level like 3 or 4 times, I just had enough. And pre-dynastic Egypt's kind of the same way, where I was not optimizing myself to where I should be according to the guide I was looking at. And so, like, I literally restarted that series like 3 times, which killed my motivation right there. But then struggling through to try and keep up. I mean, I've never been big on guides or min-maxing or anything like that, because I essentially see it as paint by numbers. And if I'm going to be doing that, then I'm going to be watching someone else do a let's play of it, because there's no point in playing it myself. You know what I mean? So that one is done. I think we can just safely say I will probably not go back to it, which is unfortunate, because there is another game in that series that now I probably won't touch unless it's just on my own. But because of the Christmas sales, I now have refilled my backlog with games that I had emptied with my 12 days of quick plays. And these games are not games I would do quick plays. They are either full series type games or games that I have in the back of my head for streaming. I had mentioned streaming before a lot of times, actually. For many, many years, I've been mentioning it, but that's really the way things are going now for the Let's Playing and all that. So, if I want to continue doing this, I think that I need to get on board with that. And I would still upload those videos to YouTube. So if you don't have a Twitch account or can't catch the streams or whatever, you wouldn't miss any of my content. But the feeling of those videos would be very different, because they would not be precise or cut or to a time limit necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to be one of those guys that does 6 hours of streaming on Saturdays or whatever. I mean, that's at most it'd be a couple hours, but it would definitely be a different atmosphere, and it is a different atmosphere, especially with the viewer interaction and all that. It's much more casual in the living room together playing video games, rather than watching someone on YouTube as I guess as a show, as entertainment. Not that I've ever really had my episodes like that, but whatever. Point being that it's going to be a different paradigm to what I'm doing now, and I feel that would lend itself to different games better. For example, I have wanted to do Planet Coaster as a series, but I feel that just the atmosphere of that game, and especially given my sometimes overbearing need to plan and plot, I feel that would just be better as something that I'm doing, but sort of in the background, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there, from what I've seen of other YouTubers and streamers that I watch, it seems like that game, being casual enough as it is just sort of it's a nacho platter, like it's not something you're eating as a meal. It's just something you're picking at, while you're with whatever terrible analogy. Anyway, point is, I've got games like that, American Truck Simulator, just a go along and drive and talk kind of game. Several other games like that I think that would be better, not just to play, but to watch, in sort of that, yeah, this is going to take a while, we're going to be here for you for a few hours kind of thing. But I also do have games that I will be doing a full series on, and there are 2 in particular that I will be doing next. They were both gifted to me by viewers, and so I'll be starting those shortly. And I think from there, I'll just be playing it by ear. There were several games that I still have on my wish list that I still kind of want, but that I think I'll still be waiting for. Anno 1800 is a game that I've been very interested in playing. But when it came out, it was like $60, and that wasn't the deluxe has extra things in it game. Um, but and what that came out when? That came out in 2019, right? Pretty recently, anyway. Yeah, it's already about like half price on sales. The Christmas sale it was only like $33, something like that. So it's going down, and I expect by summertime, the summer sales, it will be pretty reasonable. Anyway, that one I will get to at some point, but it'll be far down the road. And there's other games that I have played that there's now new content, but I'll probably wait a little bit on those. Actually, the looking at the prices for the Steam winter sale, there were actually worse prices than during like Black Friday or the summer sale. The summer sale, I guess, is the big one for them. I mean, the prices are really low during the summer sale. I expected Christmas to be another big one, but not really. But I also have a lot of games now on GOG that I'll probably look at, and legitimately old games on that. Good old games. So it's not like I don't have a list of games to play. I have always had a list of games to play. It's just that I think I need to be a lot more selective now. I get these games thinking that, oh, this would be fun to play, this would be fun to do, but I think that if I want this to continue, I really need to narrow it down to I will play this game. The six-pack idea, as I've mentioned before, I think was a good one. It's helped me to just play a game that I don't necessarily intend to spend a month or two playing, but it's more than just a quick look, so I get a little bit more knowledge and depth of what the game is about. As we saw in the 12 days of quick plays, there were a couple games where just the few hours that I'd put into it wasn't enough to really know and understand everything about the game. And I guess that's fine if you don't really care about that. Just a little, hey, here's a game you might not have heard about kind of video, that might be fine. But for people that are coming deliberately to search for a video of that game or whatever, I feel like I could do better, especially since I'm always happy to give my opinion about the games at the end of the videos. I'd like to give those a fair shake. So while the six-pack idea I feel was good, I think that also was a contributing factor to sort of the decline in my output of videos in the past year, just because, I mentioned this before in an update video, that I'm used to having the 30 episode series or whatever, something that I know by habit I will be recording this tonight or this weekend or whatever, doing a batch. And so when I had the six, that's only a couple hours of recording on my part. And then, well, now what am I going to do? So it broke the habit for me, and I would have to sit and think. It's kind of like why I don't cook dinner anymore, because I come home and I don't care. Like, I'll go out to Burger King tonight, whatever. Like, it's just one of those things where you don't want to have to think about it. So I didn't do myself any favors there, really, but I think that I will, if I get started on what I want to start doing, I think that will kind of help me get back into these routines. And I guess as far as that goes, I don't think I'll ever be able to escape just a regular job, but hopefully I'm going to be able, because I definitely don't think I will ever jump fully into being a full-time streamer or YouTuber, and I never wanted that because I've seen some of those people that do this for a living, and it seems very stressful because they have to constantly be on top of the latest thing, first to put out a video. They have to judge whether their analytics are matching up to, is this worth my time for the money, and then I got to go doing something else, and so they have just like 3 episodes of a game that suddenly abruptly stops, and I just I don't want to get into that. I like a steady paycheck, so I'll definitely always have to have a regular job for that, but I'm hoping that I will be able to do less of that work and do more of my own thing. And so, yes, continuing the Let's Playing is going to be a part of that, but as I've mentioned, before. God, every time I say that, I just shake my head because it literally is, oh, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. How many years have I been saying this? But I do want to go back to my Gazworks channel and start doing video game tutorials and possibly even doing my own games again. Video games have always been a passion of mine, and that is definitely something that I would like to continue, even if it's never one of these grand ideas I ever had, just something that I can actually be proud of for once rather than just an embarrassed, well, this is a learning game for me that I thought was better than it was. And not just video games, but I've had ideas for board games and other things. So, I kind of want to do something with that. Some of these ideas I've had for years, and it would be nice to actually now, from a point of stability in my life, just be able to spend the time doing some of those. I mean, really, that falls back on me more than anything, just because I have never really pushed myself that hard. So as a motivator, I'm terrible at it. But, personally, I feel that I have also got a disadvantage in that I'm not really passionate about things, or at least passionate about a single thing. People that are highly motivated and successful and, really good at what they do always seem to have a passion for that one thing. They whether it's like an artist who, draws every day and practices all that stuff. I'm much more of a dabbler. I have a lot of varied interests, and so I think that I get into something long enough to get to an acceptable level at it, or if I'm lucky, a competent level, but never enough to be overly impressive or to be masterful at anything. And where I think that fights against me is that I get distracted very easily. And like I probably have like a 2-3 week attention span before that initial excitement wears off, and then it just becomes well, I'm getting kind of bored with this thing. So I think that that's going to be a real challenge for me more than anything, but I also feel like if I had that one success, and not necessarily like a huge success publicly, but just something that I myself felt was something good, because that's I guess another character flaw of mine is that I'm often not completely satisfied with things. I always have in the back of my mind, well, I'll go back and revise this at some point, or I could do better with it, or whatever. And kind of like the pre-dynastic Egypt thing, where if I have to go restart again and again and again, I mean that immediately kills all motivation. So for me to get to a point where I have started a project and I am satisfied with the result. Once I have that basis, once I have that foundation, I think then I can move on and keep that going, keep that momentum going. Looking at my Gazworks channel, a large part of why I stopped doing that was because, one, I was learning as I went, so I had to make a game before then I could do a tutorial on it. But then the response I was hoping for was also not there. So where I stopped in my tutorials was getting towards a game where I had to spend quite a bit of time figuring it out. And I'm not just saying I was figuring this out on my own. I was actually reading game design books. There was one game or manual that was actually specifically for game maker software, and it was written by guys that had actually worked in the games industry. There is a whole section of one of these books that teaches you how to recreate the physics and movement from Zool, which is an old Sega Genesis game. So I mean, I was learning actual real world game design techniques and stuff. So I was really excited for that, and I think that it actually helped me to learn and push my own tutorials, just because I was able to, rather than the thousands of amateur videos out there, I was able to actually teach something in a way that was I mean, still slapdash, because I wasn't using programming. I was trying to to get something as close to, I guess, real world as possible using the basic drag and drop functions. Because everyone on YouTube uses the coding thing, so I needed to do something different. But anyway, so I was putting all this effort into this and trying to make the videos actually worthwhile. I personally feel that the editing, at least, was far above just the kids with toaster mics that were doing it. But so I had just finished what was like the Pac-Man game, I think was the last one I did, and then I was getting ready to do more complicated games, which I had that information in front of me because I had books that taught me how to do all this stuff. But then I was also looking at the views and the responses, and I mean, yeah, it was a brand new channel, relatively new channel, but I also had my own viewers from this channel to at least kind of seed that, and it just didn't feel like the YouTube algorithms at the time were picking anything up, and it didn't seem worth the time for the effort. And so just that combination really killed any motivation for that. And God, it's been 4 years-ish since I did anything with that channel. And I definitely don't want that to ever happen to this channel. Obviously, this channel is a little bit easier to maintain because you're just playing a game, but whatever. But I have mentioned before that there have been other ideas for things I've wanted to do for other channels or other types of videos. And, I'm fully aware that at this point in time, it is going to be next to impossible to do any one of those, let alone all of them. But I'm at a point in my life where that's my choice. These are my options. I can just keep doing what I'm doing, which right now, frankly, I hate. I mean, I want to get out of my job as quickly as possible, or I can just try for it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And to that end, I think I'm just going to make a game plan for myself because I've been pretty good at that. And I'm just going to start doing something different. And I guess, none of this is really going to affect you guys any. As I said, I plan to continue doing Let's Plays, but I guess this is a public New Year's resolution or something. Statement of intent of what I plan to do and will probably share. But I guess at the same time, it's also kind of a foreshadowing that if things slow down on the channel, which they might do more frequently, it's probably because I'm working on something else. But anyway, I am going to get these new series started, and I'm going to have a backlog again of videos, just so I can have something to sit on. In that meantime, I am actually going to learn as much as I can about streaming. I definitely plan to start having a stream. I'll probably have just sort of a test stream casual thing at some point, not necessarily playing a game, just kind of seeing, the interaction with chat and seeing how the video turns out. Just a trial run, and I will definitely make an announcement of that. But I would like to do that. I would like to actually start streaming this month, because the sooner I can roll that into a habit, I think the more likely that will succeed and continue forward. There is, of course, the danger that, like some channels, the streaming just supersedes all the YouTube content, and then YouTube just becomes a repository of stream videos. But at least in the immediate term, I don't see that happening. And like I said, I think the two platforms offer very different type of video anyway. So anyway, that's what's coming up. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.